to proceed. So I'm seeing a situation also where the wisdom of social justice might guide also the entire Supreme Court and uphold Uhuru Kenyatta victory.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, at the same time, NASA yesterday came out to say that if Uhuru Kenyatta is sworn in, that they will conduct a parallel swearing-in ceremony for Raila Odinga. Is that political rhetoric, or is it actually going to happen? And what's really the end game of that? Because that's not constitutional.
Well, it's a serious matter. And we just believe that Uhuru did not win legally. Because look at the number that turned up. Look at the way in which the entire process was handled. Look at the IEBC with no reforms that NASA asked for. Not a single one was ever implemented. And therefore, the situation under which Uhuru became, or the winner, is not adequate enough. And we feel that even if he wins and gets sworn in, he's still not legitimate the president of this country.
All right. And so why didn't NASA then move to court to petition?
So NASA has its own way of doing things, and it has its own strategies
outside the
as
Constitution, outside the laws of the land?
Well, I think we have lawyers there who will explain how that happens. And we feel that actually Raila is the president of this country because he actually won, and his winning was killed at that initial level. But we believe very strongly that a new election should be carried out, that there should be an interim government, and that a new election should be done at the from that perspective, so that we really choose the right person.
But there is still a framework
NASA,
on how that
insisting.
fresh election should be conducted.
NASA is saying that we want fairness, that IBC must be reformed, and these reforms will be beneficial not only to NASA, but also to Jubilee. But somehow Jubilee is resisting reforms from IBC. And I don't know how they expect to win without people complaining. If there's no reforms there and we don't feel the ground is level, surely we have a right to complain.
But these reforms, shouldn't they be, under a certain framework that is governed by the law?
Yeah, but chances were given to IBC to reform itself. They never did. How can we accept what's going on there? Right up to now, we cannot accept a single thing, simply because not a single reform was done, and that Uhuru went for elections on the 26th without any reform. So how does he win in that situation when Raila himself left and said, no, the ground is not level? Yeah.
All right, I'll be getting a response shortly.
So what NASA wishes is total fairness, transparency, and accountability. That is missing.
All right.
How do you win in situations like that and still say, I'm the president of this country? NASA wants to help the country and move elections to its right course.
All right.
Yeah, elections must always be free and fair.
All right, I'll pause you there. We'll come back and I'll get the reaction of Honorable Kutunyi, but we'll take a short break here on News Center. We're coming back in a few minutes.
This is KTN News.
Just simply put, is a digital acceptance channel by which consumers can pay either their friends or family, or they can pay merchants directly from their bank account by using their mobile banking application provided to them by their bank. They can pay a merchant by either scanning a static QR code and then entering the purchase amount, or by scanning a dynamic QR code, which is unique to that purchase and already has the purchase amount information along with the merchant information. If the consumer does not have a smartphone and they have a feature phone, they can still use the service by using the USSD short code functionality. Whether the consumer is paying or sending money to their friends or family or paying a merchant, the service is free to the consumer.
Kwa taarifa za jukwaa la
Safari ya ugatuzi ilipoanza nchini tulikuwepo.
I wish to declare Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta as President-elect.
Mwana anapoingia awamu ya pili ya ulezi bado tupo.
Laboso Joyce Cherono.
I shall do justice to all.
Jumatatu na Alhamisi tunakupa nafasi kukutana ana kwa ana na viongozi wako. Jumanne tunalenga mojawapo ya huduma zilizogatuliwa, kilimo na ufugaji. Jumatano ni afya pamoja na huduma ya kwanza. Tazama jukwaa la KTN Jumatatu hadi Alhamisi kwa taarifa za kina. Ugatuzi ndio roho ya Wakenya na jukwaa la KTN ndio moyo wa Wakenya.
Watch KTN News round the clock on Signet Channel 32, DSTV Channel 274, GoTV Channel 94, Zuku Channel 14, and on Bamba TV Channel 2.
This is KTN News.
It will be a long week at the Supreme Court as lawyers make submissions and counter-submissions during the hearing of the presidential petition challenging the October 26th presidential election. Jubilee, NASA and IBC lawyers have already filed their responses ahead of the pre-trial session tomorrow. Jubilee argues the win on October 26th was a confirmation of the August 8th election that was quashed by the Supreme Court. President Uhuru Kenyatta, through his lawyers, terms the petitioners as surrogates and mouthpieces of his competitor Raila Odinga, although seeking to be enjoined as interested parties or friends of the court have until noon today to do so. And welcome back to News Center. Thank you for staying with us. Before we get to our discussion, just to bring you up to speed with other stories that we're focusing on, what's happening at the Pan-African Hotel. Remember that today the world marks World Pneumonia Day. We'll be getting the insights from our colleagues there. But also we're expecting a press briefing from the Kenya Union of Journalists. That's going to be happening in the next moments. And also we're focusing also on what's happening in Nyeri County. Remember, we just witnessed a few moments ago the cleansing ceremony. Well, that's what the church leaders called it, a cleansing ceremony of the county governor's office ahead of the swearing-in ceremony that will be held later on today at around 2 p.m. in Nyeri County. That will see Mutahi Kahiga, who's the current deputy governor of Nyeri County, sworn in to be the governor of the county. So those are some of the stories that we're focusing on here on News Center. But as we focus on that, let's come back to our discussion here in studio. And Honorable Kotuni, you were going to respond to some of the utterances that Christine has made with regard to the election. Yeah,
of course, listening to her sentiments, it confirms the fears that I've had for a very long time, that Raila was misled this time round. And I have a lot of respect for Raila. But with the political actions that has taken place, then it raises more concern, particularly for somebody like me who believes in democracy. And if not to enhance democracy, you must have a very strong opposition. One, the complaint that they have today about IEBC, they forget that IEBC commissioners was a negotiated process.
Yes. Where
Orengo was on this other side, and we had also the Senate Kiraitu Murungi on this other side. So these commissioners, I tend to believe that they were chosen from the political divide. So each has his own people inside the commission. So they will not have any moral authority to complain that there are some people who are manipulating the process, yet they were part of the process in hiring these people. That is one. Two, so they pushed for Isaka-san, but they have not had their way. And then again, they came and said that we need these minimum reforms, which was not within the framework that could be negotiated with at that time. They went to court to challenge Uhuru Kenyatta's win of August 8th, and they had their way. What they should have done was to go back and prepare now and face the elections ahead of them. knowing very well that this is anchored in the Constitution. Chebukati was within the Constitution framework to do the election. If not, then it was going to be under contempt of court. So they should have been very much aware. Now, then there is this other issue that they are coming up about swearing in my good friend, Raila Odinga. You see, the Constitution is very clear when it comes of assuming power. You will only become the president through an election. So there cannot be any other president outside the framework of the Constitution. So it is impossible. I listened to Orengo yesterday, and I tend now to believe that Orengo is running away from the reality, that he might have misled Raila. So then the reason why he has to make all this noise is that, you know, we still have a future. We still have hope, which is not there. For the first time, NASA has been has been locked outside the box. So the option that they have is perhaps maybe to call for referendum, but not to swear in Raila.
All right.
I want them to call for referenda. Let us look into this constitution afresh if there are challenges. I think that is the only way. And then 3, they tend about to complain about they still want another election. If I was NASA, will invest more, perhaps maybe even on the court, because they are saying that we are going to distance ourselves from what is happening in court. They should have focused more on this issue of the case, because that is the only way they can find another opportunity to participate in the election.
What about political dialogue? That's also something that has been
political dialogue will happen. It will be a continuous process. Uhuru Kenyatta, once he assumes power, if his win is not going to be quashed,
right?
Of course, Uhuru has no way out. He must engage with the stakeholders.
But why not before? Because is that really a solution, having a conversation after your sworn?
You see, at the moment, you give the room, give courts the room. I believe in that. Even that is what Uhuru believes in. In terms of talking, there will be discussion. And let me tell you, by the way, there will be a serious discussion after this. After 21 days, this country, it will engage on very serious discussion. Why? It is because it is going to be a succession time. Politics of 2022 will come into play. The enemies of today will be friends of tomorrow. I am seeing friends of today becoming enemies of tomorrow. So there will be a lot of issues. Even NASA, by the way it is appearing now is that also you can see the writings on the wall. Some people are also behaving funny, which will be now to concern of Raila Odinga.
All right,
yes.
All right. We'll pause the conversation shortly. We want to cross over and listen
just to say that something. I want to urge the police. When Baba will be arriving, he should be given enough security. He should be given proper escort, all the way to where they're going to have that rally. The issue of the police saying that we will not allow them Uhuru Park, it should not.